CASCAIS in Portugal, first day of the Rolex TP52 World Championship. We have 9 boats on the water, and we are looking at certainly the first part of the week, slightly atypical conditions. Obviously, CASCAIS has this reputation for big winds, big waves, and so far no sign of that over the first 2 or 3 days at least. It's looking like a fairly light day, and indeed the breeze is quite shifty out on the water. We've got 3 teams who are either world champions or past Rolex TP52 world champions. We have Quantum, Sled, the defending champions, and Harmuller Spears Team Platoon, who have won the world championship, the Rolex TP52 world championship twice. So say Sled, the defending champions, did not have a great regatta in the Bayona. On the contrary, Quantum did. Quantum come here having just won in Bayona. They were in great form. And really bring the initiative, bring the momentum to this venue, to Portugal, to Cascais. So we're at just over 5 minutes before the start. They've been having 1 or 2 problems just getting the line laid and the windward mark laid because it's quite shifty. It's very much in the west, wind direction round about 275 degrees. They set a windward mark at 1.8 nautical miles, so wind speed round about 8 to 10 knots. So very much a contrast to what we were hoping for, or most of the teams were hoping for. So does this open up the field a little bit? Platoon, say double world champions, have always struggled here. The boat is not so quick in winds over 18-20 knots, particularly downwind. They've always suffered very slightly against the Botin designs, Frolic and also Prevets are not as quick. The Frolic designs not as fast in the breeze, downwind, and in the waves. So could this open up the opportunity for Platoon to make it 3 wins? Could it be Quantum, who really don't have any holes in their armoury, really? And Doug DeVos, the owner-driver, was on great form off the bat in Bayona last month. So we spoke with Phoenix this morning with Tom Slingsby, very much a man on form. He said really they're the underdogs in this fleet, or certainly among the top 4, top 5 boats. He feels they're so close to winning regattas, and indeed were close in Bayona. Had one bad day amongst a week of good days, and that really cost them. He had a couple of 8ths or 7ths on in the middle of the week, and that cost them. Platoon were second in Bayona and have a very settled team. So say the breeze is in the west, 280 degrees now. It's moving around about 5 or 10 degrees all the time. So we'd hope to go on time. Pravetsa then, Ergen Imri's team won one of the practice races yesterday. They did not have a good regatta in Bayona. Had 1 or 2 late upsets with health issues, and lost a couple of crew, I think, in the lead up. And so that certainly proves that they are back on form and have got just as much chance of winning here. Very, very talented team. They have Colle Parada on board this season, moving into the runner and strategist role. And a few words about the Vayu team, of course, our team from Thailand. They started so well in Bayona, and they kind of faded a little bit, but they've got speed, and in these conditions, you know, they could get in the top 3, top 4 in races. A pretty strong team. Sled then, defending champions, Mr. Akura, Takashi Akura, is back. He missed last season because he could not travel because of the health situation. Back and very much in improving form. It was took him a little bit of time to get back attuned to racing the TP52 in Bayona. but he's on good form. His team have just been with him in, or the core of his team have just been with him in Newport, Rhode Island, racing the 1980 12 metre, the America's Cup winner, Freedom, which he owns and races from the New York Yacht Club. So they won that regatta. Very different, of course, to racing the TP52. A nice diversion, a nice team building exercise there. And I would say they have as much chance of defending their title as anyone. So I think this is the 5th time in the 10-year history of 52 Super Series that we have been in CASCAIS. Teams know the waters very well, but we are more used to the Nortada, this strong northeasterly trade winds that we get down the Portuguese coast. So we're at just over 1 minute to go. This is the first start then of the Rolex TP52 World Championship, CASCAIS 2022. Phoenix lining up towards the pin end of the line. Interlodge committee boat end with platoon. Quantum bow forward. Nice controlling position just now towards the committee boat end of the line. More often than in this northeasterly breeze, and it's a right hand course, but this should be more open. Certainly Tom Slingsby and Cameron Dunn on the Phoenix opting to stay towards the left of the group. Value coming in late and low. Quantum in the controlling position at the committee boat end of the line. 10 seconds to go. Bow comes down on Phoenix. Value just losing a little bit of speed just as the gun goes. Value make a nice start then. Nick Rogers on the helm of the Value, getting away nicely. Phoenix going well as well. Interlodge a little bit slowed off the line. Clear start then, signal from our principal race officer Maria Torrijos, saying that everybody's clear. So good start from platoon at the committee boat end of the line. So Interlodge not so smart off the line. Austin Fragaman, the owner driver of Interlodge, is back. He missed the first regatta in Bayona. So it's close straight off the bat between Platoon and Quantum Racing. Platoon with the position to weather. Controlling Quantum for the moment. Drag race off the line. Privet's attack behind Platoon and Quantum. Gladiator doing the same. So Value, a 2015 boat. They go well in these flatter water conditions and the lighter breeze. Get away in 5th off the start line. Phoenix not so good. Just a little bit sandwiched between Allegra and Value, in fact. And indeed, Tom Slingsby and Cameron Dunn choosing to tack behind the boats to weather of them. So Phoenix not so great off the start line, but clearing the rear from the boats which were to weather of them. Early advantage does seem to be on that right side. A little bit lifted perhaps on port, but actually see Interlodge starting to dig into a little bit of a header perhaps. Interlodge and Privetza didn't make the best of starts, but they're getting out to this right side. Hamish Pepper is tactician on the Preveza. Interlodge, of course, have Ed Baird. So it looks like some gains on that right side looking upwind. First beat of the Rolex TP52 World Championship. So Quantum and Allegra investing in this left side looking upwind. Platoon tacking out of that side, going more for the middle of the course. A little bit more breeze on that right side, clearly, with look at the boat speeds of Preveza, Interlodge, both doing over 8.1 knots. Quantum doing a quarter or 0.4 of a knot less just now, but coming out of their tack and building speed. So as I said earlier, Preveza won the practice race yesterday. Or the second practice race. So you remember that Preveza had that problem. They had a problem with their forestay. It meant that they missed 3 races. Otherwise scored 8, 6, 5, 6, 6. So bouncing back as best they can with what looks like the early lead from Interlodge and Sled. Gladiator in 4th. Gladiator, of course, won a race in Bayona in Galicia last month. So looking at the tracks from overhead, look at the angles that the boats are sailing at different angles. Interlodge on that right side in 2nd, sailing a lower angle. You'd imagine that should come back as a lift on the other tack, being able to sail higher on the other tack perhaps. Quantum in 7th for the meantime. Traditionally, this is always said to be a right-hand course, favouring the right side upwind, but to say the breeze is more in the west than normal. Going for well for the meantime, Ergen Imre's team. Won a regatta in when we were down in Cadiz 3 years ago. Very, very close finish. Similar conditions, a light and a little bit of tide there. And they also won in Puerto Portales the previous year. So they have all the tools in the toolbox. They know how to win regattas, and they had a good start. In the meantime, 65 metres or so ahead of Phoenix. Phoenix, though, on the prowl. Gladiator also in the mix, going well. So as Provetza come out of their attack, the differential between them and Phoenix dropping all the time. Phoenix appearing to take the lead for the meantime, but I think Provetza just light on breeze, maybe have gone too far to the right. Appear to be crossing. At the moment, the right side does seem to be favoured, but all the time I'm watching Allegre and particularly Vayu on that left side. Remember, we reckon there was a breeze goes left at the top mark. Platoon in third, Provetza second, Phoenix first. I kind of like Platoon's approach coming in here on the from the left on port. So we're pretty close between Phoenix and Provetza out on that right side now. Gone furthest, I think, and appear to have lost. Platoon tacking underneath Phoenix, going for the lee bow. Phoenix have Tony Norris on the helm. And again's out on this left side, as we said. Then Allegre, Ado Stead, and Nick Asher putting their money on the left, coming in with height and pace, and will cross this group to the right. Let's see how this plays out, but certainly Allegre, as I say, Ado Stead and Nick Asher seem to have got this one right. Vayu as well. Nick Rogers calling tactics on Vayu. So Allegre will cross with a big lead. Vayu might get round in second. So looks like a little bit of a repeat performance from our team from Thailand on the Vayu. This is what they did so well in Bayona. Started with the pair of second places on day one. But it was Phoenix who won the first race in Bayona. Started the regatta with a 1 and the 3. So, and Andy Soriano's team, Allegre, started the regatta in Bayona with a 9th. So, He's clearly shifting around a lot. Platoon in fourth, Phoenix in fifth. Value then choosing to get up towards the ley line, try and protect their position relative to the boats behind, consolidate, bank what they have. Said position changing all the time on this first upwind leg of the Rolex TP52 World Championship in CASCAIS, approaching the windward mark now, first time up, in the balance between Allegre and Vayu. Quantum racing a little bit further back in third, but Allegre going well in the light to medium conditions. Attacking now and will converge with Vayu. And again you'll see the advantage line drop. The purple line is the advantage that Allegre has, but as they converge, it's determined by the distance to the windward mark and the ley line. So approaching this first top mark, it's looking very much like the lead is with Allegre, with Andy Soriano's team. Really nice first upwind. Should make a straightforward approach. So indeed, it is Allegre first round. Vayu round in second. And close between Quantum and Platoon, but Quantum will have time to get their attack completed and be round ahead of Platoon. So of course Vayu work with Quantum. You use Quantum sales and are part of the Quantum team, as it were, along with Gladiator. So Quantum round in third, Platoon in fourth. Fifth will be Sled. Phoenix coming around now in sixth. So in the end, then Pravetsa, Gladiator and Interlodge, all who started on the right, went early right. Provezza had the early lead in that upwind, but going round the top mark in 8th. And Gladiator go round in 7th. So the breeze in the left, then it's a straight starboard tack, downwind. Nobody jibing off early for any good reason. It's a big gap between Value and Quantum. Allegra gaining as well off the front. Allegra have done well here in the past in the big breezes. 6 to 7 knots though just now on the water. So how easy it is to get carried away with CASCAIS' reputation and come here expecting 20-25 knots every day, and here we are, 67 knots, first race of the Rolex TP52 World Championship, and a very different proposition. So Midsummer's Day and Midsummer's Night, of course. Who is making the Midsummer's Night dream start, and who will struggle? Allegra opening out very slightly from Value, but as I said, these 2015 Botin boats are pretty quick in these conditions. And all credit, of course, to the Value team and the way they sail them. The boat, new to the Super Series. They've been sailing TP52s in Asia for 6 or 7 years. So actually, pretty flat water and light winds. However, the good news is the Friday and Saturday, we're expecting normal service to be resumed with the strong trade winds to be back in, certainly for Saturday, ideally for Friday as well. That's our forecast from our main navigators, or some of the most successful navigators are saying that, and also our locals. Nice gains then. 20 metres of a gain for Allegra, for Andy Soriano down this first run. So last time we were here was July 2019, and we're really into the strong trade winds. And that was a win by a single point for Quantum. Platoon were third that time. And in fact, though I said that Allegre have been good in CASCAIS in the past, it wasn't that year. I think it was 2018 that they were good in the strong breeze. Certainly, I can remember them sailing deep and fast. And that was the last time the World Championships were here in 2018, when Quantum won. Quantum have won 2018 and 2019. Indeed, I am right. Allegre were on the podium. They were third here in 2018, albeit 14 points behind the winners Quantum. Quantum won the World Championships here in 2018 by 4 points ahead of Azura. So Allegre have opened up probably an extra 30 metres on value. Quantum, I think, kind of threatening on that left side looking downwind. So there's maximum concentration in these conditions. To say it's only 6 to 7 knots of breeze, flat water. Value hanging in there against Quantum. Quantum, I think, going very slightly quicker down that left side, or certainly to the left of Value. Be interesting to see how this second beat plays out, and indeed who chooses which side of the lure gate to go for. So breeze is 270 degrees at the leeward gate. So staying fairly settled now. To say that was the last time the World Championships were here. It was in 2018. It was a good regatta for Allegre. Sled were fourth then. They were only a point behind Allegre. And my goodness, that was a breezy regatta. If I remember rightly, we had every day over 20 knots. So an easier start physically, if not mentally. This time, Allegre going well in these conditions then. And in the end, yeah, Value really not doing too badly. Downwind relative to Quantum. Value will just go to cross Quantum, I think, and then jibe. Allegra look like they might go to the left-hand mark, looking upwind. Good job from the Allegra trimmers downwind. Andy Hemmings, the main downwind trimmer. John Gunderson trims upwind. So came round the top mark with a lead of 53 metres. It's now 188, or in fact 200 as we come to the Lure Gate. First time down, race one. No change in the top three, top four anyway since the top mark. It is Allegra leading round. Second, Value. Interesting position with Platoon and Sled. Going to have to jibe down to Phoenix. Phoenix just a little bit high of ley line. But I think that'll be closer with the Platoon, Sled and Phoenix. But nice work from Value coming round in second. Quantum Racing poised in third. Let's see whether there's a little gain to be made. Sled and Platoon will jibe onto port. Phoenix coming at them on starboard, and I think should be able to jibe in front. Getting a couple of places, I think. Interesting situation with Sled for the umpires, maybe, but Phoenix have the advantage now. So nice work from Phoenix, I think. Getting round in fourth, taking a couple of places there. Platoon in fifth. Gladiator sixth. Making a gain of one place since the top mark. Not sure whether Sled are doing turns or whether quite what's going on, but it's quite possible considering what we saw on our tracker with Phoenix jibing in front of them. However, it's one for the umpires. So, interesting looking second beat then, isn't it? Looking at the relative angles between the left and right hand side of the course looking upwind. You have Platoon and Quantum choosing the right, Value and Phoenix on the left. We're on the second upwind, leg 3 of 4, Rolex TP52 World Championship, day 1 advantage with Allegri, with Andy Soriano's team making a really solid start to the World Championship. So to have Value repeating pretty much what they did in Bayona on day 1, came away with 2 second places, going well. Started second from the pin. I have to say that I think the Quantum Challenge is strengthening slightly, but I think the Value team are up to it for the moment. Nick Rogers, of course, a double Olympic silver medalist in the 470. Hugely accomplished sailor in his own right. But it is pretty close with Quantum. Remember, these two teams work under the same coaching umbrella, share data with each other, and indeed Gladiator. You'd have to say a small gain then to Quantum on the right side coming upwind this time. Let's see whether Value can bring it back, get it back. Platoon in 4th. Phoenix in 5th. Remember, that was the what we saw was the 2 matches coming up this second beat between Quantum and Value, Platoon and Phoenix. So Allegri picking their way up this beat very nicely, able to sail the shifts to their own advantage, and so have extended ahead of Value and Quantum. So clearly the defending champion sled in a spot of bother. Down in 9th just now. They were going okay in 5th, and then obviously, from what we could say, had a penalty at the leeward gate, or on the approach to the leeward gate, and now down in 9th. Wonder whether Phoenix can get back up to take Platoon on this second beat. 30 or so, 25 metres between them in terms of distance to the windward mark. Still Value and Quantum also close, but that's this an object lesson in how to grow your lead in these conditions is being shown just now by Allegri. 50 odd meters ahead at the top mark, first time out. Just under 200 meters at the leeward gate. And now they're approaching 300 meters. Quantum picking a little bit of a right-hander, or certainly lifting very slightly. Should get across value conclusively, I think, just now. Breeze is more right hand, I think, than in the first upwind. If you remember the angles that Allegri were coming in, the top third of the beat, quite strong with a left-hander. But that's a big gain to Quantum. But interesting because Phoenix versus Platoon. Phoenix appear to have made a little gain on this left side, not sure. So a bit of a turnover then for between Quantum and Value. It's very close, and then Quantum have got some extra pressure, a little shift to the right of Value on this upwind. Made a net gain of probably 100 meters on this beat relative to Value. Platoon and Phoenix. Looks a little bit like Platoon are getting back at Phoenix on the right in just the same way that Quantum have on Value. Indeed, we see Platoon there ahead of Phoenix. Phoenix was fourth through the leeward gate. Remember, they made that gain of 2 boats in the approach into the windward mark in the final jibes. But now Platoon conclusively through Phoenix. Quantum have the controlling position relative to Value. Allegra just keeping a loose cover on the boats behind them, with a lead of over 220 meters. So at the moment, not looking like the opening that the Phoenix team want. Interlodge and Sled looking for something on the right in 8th and 9th just now, trying to get back up towards the Gladiator and Provezza. Gladiator and Provezza having a little match race of their own, the two. Just trading tacks. And Allegra just coming up to tack for the starboard tack lay line. Breeze picking up a little bit. We're hearing from our race committee boat. Allegra, nice lay line. Navigator on board Allegra this season is Francesco Mongelli, Italian navigator who sailed with or was on the Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli team for the last America's Cup. So yeah, 9 knots of wind speed now. Breeze at 275 degrees. And Value tucking in behind Quantum as they approach the windward mark for the second and final time in this race. Allegra, though, have led all the way around this course. Quantum Racing round in second, Value in third. They'll be disappointed to have lost out to Quantum though. Phoenix and Platoon close as they get up towards the starboard tatlay line. And it's anyone's game for the places after Phoenix. So Platoon holding fourth. Phoenix in fifth. Provezza sixth. Seventh is going to be between Interlodge and Gladiator, but we'll see that one in a second. Indeed, Gladiator then just crossing Interlodge. And Sled, unfortunately, then the world champions not making the start to this regatta that they wanted. A little bit grey and overcast here. Gladiator round 7th, Interlodge in 8th. Look at the gap between Quantum and Value now. Quantum have moved 150, 160 metres clear of Value when they were very close in the early part of the second upwind. However, I'm quite sure that Value won't be too upset with the third. So Quantum have been the dominant teams when we've visited CASCAIS in the past. We've been here 4 times before. This is the 5th time. Quantum have won in 2015, 2018, 2019. Couldn't, of course, be here in 2021, but here we are in 2022, and they're catching Allegra very slightly. So for those of you perhaps don't appreciate the geography of the Atlantic coast here, Europe, then Bayona is just up the coast in the corner of northwest corner of Spain, and this is down the Portuguese coast. So we're still very much in the Atlantic. This is expected, or was expected, to be much more of an open sea venue compared to Bayona. Bayona very much protected by the islands, and so it's a real flat water venue, and that's what we have today. (2021), of course, we only did managed to do 3 regattas the latter part of the year, starting in Puerto Portales in August, Menorca in September, and the Rolex TP52 World Championships were in Palma in November. So in terms of tenure, in terms of the time they've had the World Championship title, and unfortunately Sled haven't had it for the full year that you might normally expect a team to be world champions. But Allegra had a good regatta in Menorca, you'll remember. Started with 3 wins. It was only a 5-race regatta, but they had 3 wins, but then had a 7 and a 10 in what proved to be the final day to take second to Platoon. So Allegra know what it takes to win and to build a momentum. The overall Menorca was a slightly breezier regatta than this so far. They're holding off Quantum for the meantime. And they should be able to get through the finish line to win this first race of the 2022 Rolex TP52 World Championship. Said in the opening part of the programme, 3 teams have won the World Championship at least once since Rolex have been involved. This is their 5th year for Rolex's sponsorship of our TP52 World Championship. And these teams are Sled, Quantum and Platoon. Nice cosmopolitan mix of sailors on board the Allegre. Actually, they've got quite a strong Italian, or strengthening an Italian group with Matteo Aguadro on the bow, Mickey Ganuti on aft grinder, Francesco Mongelli as navigator, Flavia Tomaselli is the floater. And they have certainly had Francesco De Angelis as in the coach boat in Bayona. Haven't seen him this week so far, but otherwise the Brits on board are Joe Cox, Jonathan Taylor, Andy Hemmings, Kevin George, Ado Stead and Nick Asher. So the Brits hold the upper hand in terms of nationalities on the Allegre. John Gunderson from New Zealand, Noel Drennan from Australia, and Sebastian Ten Hag, who is the project manager and forward grinder, is of course Swedish. And as you might expect on the Quantum Racing, which flies the US flag, Americans hold the upper hand in terms of nationality. Doug DeVos, Terry Hutchison, Sean Clarkson, Lucas Calabrese is down as American, as an Argentinian 470 Olympic bronze medalist. Trevor Bird in as a grinder now, and Matt Cassidy from the US, Greg Gandel. But we are looking at a win then. Race number 1, First Blood to Allegre to Andy Soriano's team. They've actually opened another 20 or 30 metres on Quantum on this run. Closing out the finish line. Breeze has built very slightly over the course of this run. So finish line, finish gun for Andy Soriano and his team on the Allegre. The runners up in Menorca last year showed that they can win a succession of races. Second Quantum Racing. Winners here 2 times in a row, 2018, 2019. 2018 as a World Championship. So a solid start for Doug DeVos and his team in second. Third, Vayu, the Whitcraft family from Thailand. I think they have 6 members of the family on board. Don Whitcraft, the young 49er sailor, steering. And Phoenix have got themselves back through platoon. So fourth will be a counter, a useful result for them. Keeps them in the top half of the fleet, 9-boat fleet of course. Nice ley line from Phoenix, I think. Sled coming back at Gladiator slightly at the back of the fleet. So disappointing for Provetza. Provetza led up that first beat. But remember, the middle left and the left worked for the Allegra, and it was Allegra leading round the top mark. Anyway, there go Phoenix through the finish line for fourth. Platoon in fifth. 2 times world champions in 2017, 2019. Still a little battle going on at the back of the fleet, but Sled seem to have got themselves through Gladiator. Interlodge will get 7th then. Sled 8th. Sled were 5th at the top mark, first time up. Penalised, I think, against Phoenix. Port starboard on the first run, coming towards the leeward gate. Sled didn't keep clear and I think took a penalty. And they will just get across the finish line ahead of Gladiator. So unfortunately Gladiator get 9th. So that's the race 1 results. Allegri, Quantum Racing, Vayu, Phoenix, Platoon, Provetza, Interlodge, Sled and Gladiator. And join us in a few minutes. We'll come back for race 2 of the Rolex TP52 World Championship here in CASCAIS. And we're back into CASCAIS. Less than a minute to go to race number 2 of the Rolex TP52 World Championship 2022. Allegra then, Andy Soriano's team putting the first win on the board. Quantum second, Value third, and Phoenix getting fourth. So second start shaping up quite similar to the previous one in terms of pressures on the right end of the line towards the committee boat. Sled, Interlodge, Allegra all up near the committee boat. Pravetsa looking at the pin end start. Time and distance on the line at 13 seconds to go. Phoenix have a runway below their bow, able to build speed in the final seconds, and best start is between Phoenix and Quantum. Really nice start from Doug DeVos and the Quantum team. Good speed build in the final seconds. And looking like Phoenix are over the start line. Phoenix have to go back. So that's costly for the Phoenix team. Through the line and jibe. Phoenix restart then in 9th position. Allegra started nicely towards the committee boat end of the line. Phoenix have an uphill battle on their hands. Hard for us to judge, obviously, on the Geo Racing virtual tracking, but they look to be very close with the Quantum. Quantum started pretty much at the same time. Really nothing in it between the two of them, but Phoenix were penalised and have to restart. Quantum going very nicely. Gladiator started well and are going out to the early right. Let's watch Allegra's strategy then, this upwind. Nick Asher and Ado Stead really nailed it on the first race. Working the middle left and then the left towards the top mark. Gladiator early leaders on the right with Vayu and Sled. So this time early advantage is on the right for sure, as it was last time. Remember Pravetsa and Vayu led on the right the previous race, but the investment is on the left side. Pravetsa, there you go, well they were on the right last time, left this time, and in fact furthest left along with Quantum. Platoon didn't get the same precision start that Quantum did, consequently just a boat length behind Quantum and to weather. So the early advantage then very much on that right side with Sled and Gladiator and Vayu. Platoon in 8th. So consistency is the name of the game. It's about top threes, top fours all the way through the week. If you can do better than that, then well and good. But in this fleet, pretty much any team can win a race, and equally any team can be last. It's interesting watching Allegri. Fairly conservative strategy compared to the boats on both sides of them. Now then, boats on the left, into a header, into a left-hand breeze. Let's see how it plays out then for Gladiator, Vayu and Sled out on the right side. Allegra going back towards them in fourth. So because of that, we're seeing this immediate gain to Phoenix as Pravetsa, Platoon and Quantum. Really a split breeze then as we get up the top of the course, or towards the top of the course. Gladiator starting to knock, I think, starting to get a little bit of a header. Right-hander on the extreme right along with Vayu. Sled and Allegra. So Allegra will cross Sled, I'm pretty sure. Well, may not. More likely to tack underneath, but it's close. In fact, they duck them. Look at that, a miracle of tracking. Remember in the last race then, the left paid from about here on up. But then in terms of distance to the windward mark just now, your tracking showing you that Gladiator are 550 metres closer than Quantum. So even really between Gladiator and Vayu. Out on the right, Allegra third. Sled fourth, but then these three boats putting their faith on the left side of the course. Quantum, Interlodge, Pravetsa. Now you can see, look at Pravetsa's angle now, starting to lift on that left side. And what we saw last time, and we see quite often here in CASCAIS, is Gladiator have a long way to go. To the starboard tack ley line, where Pravetsa, Quantum and Platoon are lifting on port on the left side. the top of this beat really is fascinating. So we have 10 knots of breeze now, so a little bit more than the previous race. So Allegra get nicely into position in second. Slide coming across it in fifth. But Gladiator looking quite strong now on that right side. Certainly haven't had the knock. A little bit low on ley line according to our tracking, but so watching Quantum and Platoon in the middle of that left-hand pack. This left-hander doesn't seem to be coming for the Platoon and Quantum at the moment. It's a very challenging first beat this time, as it was first time up in the race number 1. So overhead with Value then working this breeze very nicely, getting a little lift, a little left-hander, and certainly what you're seeing is Gladiator and Allegra a little bit dotty, a little bit lighter breeze to the right. Phoenix there 5th for the meantime, considering they were over the start line and had to recross. That would be a good recovery for them if they could hold on to that, at least coming round the top mark. Interledge then crossing behind the Phoenix, as I said in the previous race. Austin Fragaman on the helm, or back on the helm of Interlodge, and Ed Baird calling tactics with him. Certainly probably the fleet's most accomplished tactician working with owner drivers. He is exceptional. So Value actually did have the lead in the previous race momentarily. Nick Rogers happy to step well out to the right of Gladiator and Allegra. going towards the starboard tack ley line, which he should be just at, tacking over the ley line. Now then, now you're starting to see Quantum and Platoon and Provezza coming back at that group on the right. Exactly what happened with Allegra in the previous race. Watch how it overturns now. Platoon and Quantum 4th and 6th. Rolling up over Allegra and Gladiator. Here you go, Quantum up to 4th, Platoon up to 3rd. I wonder whether Value have gone far enough and have enough breeze to hold on to that lead, but left side paying top third of the beat once again. Platoon up to 3rd. And Phoenix in the middle, dropping from what we saw as 4th to 9th. And Sled taking Value, but I think the advantage at this top mark could well be between Platoon and Quantum. Maybe not. Sled then I think will cross and tack, or tack on the bow of Value. Just going a little bit further to give dirty air to Value. So Platoon coming up to Sled, and we'll tack inside. Quantum the same. And Platoon plant the lee bow on Sled. Quantum will probably do the same on them. But look how this race has changed so quickly as we approach this windward mark. Left side strengthens. Quantum, Platoon, Sled, Value. Now Value were leading just 2 minutes ago, and they're now 100 metres behind the leaders. And in a little bit of dirty air. Quantum with the controlling position. Nice ley line from Michele Avaldi and the Quantum team. Just able to influence Platoon in particular. Platoon have to keep their bow up as much as possible rather than drop directly into the line of Quantum. Phoenix crossing behind Value, and I think we'll just go slightly above and tack. Provezza and Gladiator having a little bit of a set 2 there, just directly downwind of the mark. Gladiator have to duck down to go below the protector mark. And it is Quantum racing then, leading round the mark first time up. Second in the previous race, in the first race. Sled round in second. Defending world champions. Platoon 2 times world champions in third. Value then in fourth. Third in the previous race. Value round now, then Provezza. In fifth, sixth round are Phoenix. Not bad for Phoenix though, as I said, considering they were over the start line and had to recross. Allegra Interlodge and the Gladiator. So kite goes up at the offset mark on the Gladiator. And away they go downwind. Say breezes up very slightly at 10 or 11 knots at the top mark. But once again, we noted the left-hand breeze coming in there. That's what gained Quantum the lead. Got Platoon up to third. And correspondingly, it's pretty much a straight line on starboard jibe with no real option to jibe away, jibe closer to the land. It's a straight follow my leader down this first part of the first run, race 2. Yeah, so still about 10 to 11 knots of breeze, slightly more than the first race. First race started in 6 to 7 and sled then the defending world champions with Mr. Akura steering, chasing Doug DeVos and team on the Quantum Racing. So we have 5 regattas this season. Started off last month in Bayona, first time there in Galicia. Quantum Racing won there. Then we have CASCAIS this week. Next month we are in Puerto Portales, Mallorca, Sea Breeze venue, July 21st to 26th. And we return to Scarlino, where we haven't been for 5 years actually, in Tuscany in September, and finishing up with the big finale, our 10th anniversary season. That will be a big week in Barcelona, of course, the venue for the next America's Cup. And we're there in October 24th to 29th. So a little bit of split in the fleet coming down this run. Gladiator and Allegra trying to find something out on that left side. Quantum and Sled sailing slightly deeper and faster on the right, looking downwind, made a small gain relative to Quantum. Vayu trying to do the same thing to Platoon. Remember, Platoon were ahead. They went round the top mark in third. Provetza were fifth at the top mark, still fifth. Certainly a little bit quicker down this run with a couple of knots more wind speed. So Sled with this afterguard of Murray Jones, 5 times America's Cup winner, and Francesco Bruni. Appear to have taken the lead on this run, staying right. Let's watch how the advantage line holds or doesn't, but for the meantime, Sled, steered by Mr. Takashi Okura, is in the lead. The defending world champions had a pretty miserable first race, really. 8th place. But holding off Quantum just now. Do seem to be some gains down this right side. Certainly Prevets have made a nice gain relative to Platoon to their left. The big spread in the fleet now between 1st and 8th and 9th. 700 metres or so between Sled and Allegra. Allegra, winners of the previous race, now in 8th in this second race. As ever then, this is all about consistency, staying in the top 3, top 4. Best so far today, we'd have to say, is Quantum. Second in the first race. A lying second just now. And I'm sure if the US flag team went ashore, came back ashore here in CASCAIS with 2 second places today, they would be quite happy with that. Platoon 4th just now, 5th in the previous race. And even Vayu 3rd just now, 3rd in the previous race. So sled just coming across, I think, to Quantum's line. Maybe we'll go across and jibe. So the actual lead is probably more like 75 or 80 metres. There goes sled jibing in front of Quantum. Value out on this right side looking downwind. Quantum have got back at sled very slightly, but sled pointing at the leeward gate. Don't have far to go. I'd imagine they'll go left hand mark. No gains then for value coming into Platoon's line. So Phoenix trying to find something out on that right side looking downwind. Come in with a hot angle at speed. Trying to take some places, but yeah, sled leading around the left hand mark looking upwind. Quantum Racing following. Platoon, a little bit of daylight between Quantum and Platoon. Quantum chasing sled hard. Value in fourth, just jibing in front of Provezza. Watching Phoenix coming in with speed from that left side. They need to get into the mark ahead of these other two, but I don't think they're going to do that. Just now they seem to be between Provezza and Value, but actually they end up with sixth. So Platoon go round in third on the right hand mark. Fourth is Value. Now so Phoenix need to get in round this left hand mark looking upwind. Interestingly, Provezza go to the right hand mark, as did Platoon. Pretty much going around the same time as Provezza, but Phoenix settled an upwind just before Provezza. Interlodge going round in ninth, Gladiator eighth. And interesting then, Value punching out to the left side, looking upwind, coming out and I think tacking now, but Their real battle is with Phoenix and Preveza, who are right. Will this investment pay off for the team from Thailand? Whitcraft family on value on number 6. 6th place just now. They were 4th round at the leeward mark. Sled in control then. For the meantime, they are protecting the left side. Platoon way out the right. Quantum middle left just now. Really what we're watching is Phoenix and Preveza and Vayu. Vayu now about 100 metres or so behind Preveza and Phoenix. But they want this left where we saw this consistent left-hander in the top third of the beat. Phoenix appear to be through for Preveza for the meantime. Certainly Preveza furthest to the right. And indeed cross Preveza. Remember, Preveza were ahead until they took the right hand mark looking upwind. Well, they're pretty much went round the opposite marks at the same time, but for sure again to Phoenix on the left hand mark. Phoenix in 5th. Now their next target are Vayu, although Vayu on much further out to the left. So interesting. Watching Platoon then. Her bow went down, now going into attack. Come out of the attack now and let's see how their angle is. A little bit of divergence just now between Sled's track and Quantum's track. Sled getting into a more left-hand breeze, very slight lift to them. That's why you're seeing them opening gauge on Quantum. Platoon seem quite high on starboard just now. So looking good for Sled just now. 145, 150 metres or so ahead of Quantum. Not too far to go to the windward mark. Second time up. Well then, so you talk about consistency, or the level of consistency that is required. And the winner of the first race, Allegra, now in ninth. A nice little head-to-head duel going on between Phoenix and Vayu. Vayu should be able to bounce Phoenix off, which they do, which will hold them on to fourth place, but still Phoenix's recovery is quite solid, quite illuminating. Remember, they were over the start line, now challenging for fourth. Vayu under pressure now. Can they hold off Phoenix in the remainder of this upwind and the downwind? So Phoenix then, bow number 11, the Plattner family boat, owned by Hasso and Tina Plattner. We're expecting Tina to join us this week in CASCAIS, although she won't be sailing, as far as we understand anyway. And I do believe that Hasso will be racing one of the upcoming regattas. So in the meantime, Vayu then holding off Phoenix. Could be closer at the top mark between these two, but top three are Sled, Quantum and Platoon. 142 metres behind Sled are Quantum, and Platoon in turn 120 metres behind Quantum Racing. Top three then fairly evenly spaced. Sled are world champions and 2021 circuit champions. Remember, they won in Palma in November by just a single point. Finished sixth in Bayona last month, but they haven't won a race yet this season. Best finish was third in the first race of the season in Bayona. Got redress for a collision they had a collision with Gladiator in Bayona, and Gladiator were at fault. So Sled took a redress points, the average points for the race, or their race average, sorry. But looking like a return to form in some respects. Pretty solid across the wind range. Sled, Quantum, Platoon. Platoon on Doyle sales now for this season, or as of this season. One of the two boats with Doyle's Interlodge being the other. So top three go North Sales, Quantum Sales, Doyle Sales, Quantum, Quantum. So Quantum so far not able to get back at Sled. Sled, comfortable ley line. Andrea Vicentini, the navigator on the Sled. Michele Avaldi, also Italian, navigator on the Quantum Racing. Platoon navigator is GBR's Jules Salter. So let's see. Phoenix come back at Vayu. So second windward mark. Sled leading. Remember they took the lead on the first run. Good lead over Quantum Racing. Quantum Racing get round in second, and Platoon will be third. So one we're watching is Phoenix and Vayu. I think Phoenix are going to get there ahead of Vayu. Remember, Vayu led this race momentarily on the first upwind. But Phoenix, big jump, nice beat from Tom Slingsby and Cameron Dunn. Phoenix then get round for fourth. Vayu fifth. Trevetza sixth. So straight run then on starboard jibe, still the same. Remember Quantum jibed earlier on the previous run and lost out to Sled. Interlodge and Allegra coming round in 8th and 9th. So all things being equal, Quantum Racing should lead this regatta after today if positions stay the same on this race number 2. Quantum Racing likely to be counting a 2 and a 2. Allegra perhaps a 1 and a 9, perhaps a 1 and an 8. Value a 3 and a 5 would give them 8 points. Phoenix, I think, probably 2/4. There we go. The miracle of the power of the computer and our French slash Swiss team giving you the projected results just now. Quantum on 4, Phoenix, Platoon and Value all on 8, Sled on 9, Allegra 10, Provezza 12, Interlodge 15, Gladiator 16. So that's if positions stayed the same through the finish line as they are just now. So we have 2 days of this 3-day live tracking from the racecourse, and of course Thursday, Friday and Saturday, the last 3 days of this Rolex TP52 World Championship. We will have live streaming from the water, live images from our German TV team from Chimbovision. They're warming up just now. They've been checking all the signals, beaming fantastic images back. I can tell you we've got more onboard images than ever before. And correspondingly the forecast is best for the end of the week. So we should have some great shows for you Thursday, Friday and Saturday. Now, who will be in the frame then these Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Well, we're getting a little bit of an insight just now, I'm quite sure. Quantum Racing really have some impetus, some momentum carried forward from their win in Bayona last month. Plus, they have won here 2 times, 2018, 2019, 1 time winning the World Championship. 1 time just winning a big breezy regatta. And Platoon are the 2 times world champions. They've never done well here, but they're going well at the moment. 3rd just now, 5th in the previous race. As we saw, points projections would put them with a share of 2nd with Phoenix and with Value. And as ever, credit to the Quantum team. They've not really made any mistakes today. They've sailed tight and clean. They've made good starts, not pushed the risk too hard off the start line. Fantastic images from our Geo Racing team. Really lifelike. We just need to get some people on board. It's their next challenge in the world of 3D animation. But Sled moving clear. They've gained 30 metres down this run. Coming into the pressure as we come down the racetrack off CASCAIS, off the Club Naval CASCAIS, such a popular venue. I always love it coming here because it's a real sailing club with lots of activity, lots of different classes. Great training venue for some of the Olympic programs, not least the Portuguese, but we've got 49ers out there training. We've got Wasps, we've got IQ foils, and a marina full of cruising boats. Still 10 knots of breeze. Air temperature 18 degrees Celsius today, considering we were seeing 40s in some parts of Western Europe last week. It's a little bit of blessed relief. So you have to, on the one hand, you have to hand it to Phoenix for their recovery, appropriate, of course, to their name, considering they were over the start line. I think it was close for them, but they recovered very quickly. That's the key, really, if you're over the start line, to get back as quickly as possible and get going. And the Phoenix team did that. They're now up to fourth, got through Vayu on that last upwind. So Vayu unfortunately slipping to fifth. They were fourth at the top mark first time up. Fourth at Leeward Gate. Fifth, I think, at the second windward mark. It's a nice confidence booster then for Sled, really. Pulling off a nice win. Say their first race win this season. One for the owner, by the owner. So just reflecting as well, 1, 2, 3, all owner drivers. Takashi Akura on Sled, Doug DeVos on Quantum, and Harm Muller-Spreer on Platoon. And Harm just telling us objectively, not boasting in any way, but he was saying that he loves CASCAIS, even though over the years it's not been the best venue for the Platoon, but he won Dragon titles here before, of all varieties. So is ever any questions that you want answered by our expert team, post them on our social media channels. We'll try and answer them tomorrow in the lives. Maybe save them up for the weekend, but do ask any questions. Stick them on the social media channels and we'll respond on the live programs. But Sled then leading Quantum Racing and Platoon. Big gap back to Phoenix, really. So then Sled heading down through the finish line. for their first race win this season. Quantum jibing, heating up out of the jibe. Indeed, Sled then winning. Quantum will get second, Platoon third, and in his gap back to Phoenix. Value appear to have lost Pravetsa on this run. Quantum through second, Platoon third. So that will leave two boats tied for second. I think Platoon 3 and 5 giving them 8, and Phoenix 2 4s. Value dropping to 6th unless they can get back through Pravetsa, which is possible. It'll be all about the jibe and the approach to the finish line. Phoenix, all credit to them. Platoon 3 and 5 for the day. Phoenix 4 and 4 for the day. Interesting then. Pravetsa go wide. I still think Value could get here. Looking good for them at the moment. Pravetsa seem to have gone past the ley line, coming in with speed. Very, very close. Value. Don Whitcraft pulls the bow down, both going through, and Pravetsa will just get there. Close finish. Pravetsa steal it on the line. 6th though for Value. 7th the Gladiator. 8th Interlodge, and 9th Allegra. Then disappointing for Andy Soriano's team. As we say, consistency is key in the 52 Super Series, and Allegra doing a 1 and 9 for the day. Still 10 points, not bad for the day, but 1 and 9. Actually, they make it 8th, having said that, but it's same principle applies. Close finish, and indeed it is an 8th for Allegra versus Interlodge. So that's our two good races today in 8 to 10 knots of breeze. Not what we typically expect here in Cascais. It is June though. July better for the trade winds, as we remember having been here in July in 2019. So it will be Quantum Racing. 2 second places will lead the standings. Then 2 boats on 8 points. Platoon and Phoenix. Platoon 3 and 5 for the day. Phoenix 4 and 4. That will be our podium after day 1 here at the Rolex TP52 World Championship. Join us again tomorrow when we should have another 2 good races. Join us tomorrow.